Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? I know it's post-lunch, um, but I have some interesting stuff today, some real-world stories. So today, I'm going to speak about an industry that mostly hasn't been spoken about, right? And it carries a stigma along with it, and that is called debt collections, right? So before I dive into this, so let's see how many of you here in the room has an active loan and pays EMIs on time. Oh, a lot of hands. Okay. Now let me flip the question. This is where a different world begins. How many of you here has a loan and missed an EMI? Wow, all good guys. I'm sure your experience was not the best. But today, I will walk you through my experience, right, on how the journey of DPDzero started. So this was way back in 2019. I was a customer of a bank. I used their credit card for a very long period of time, over 5 years probably, right? And there was this once where I was not in India, right? I was traveling outside. So my number was not reachable. So I used another SIM. And it was during the due date of the credit card bill, right? So somehow I did not get the notifications and I missed it. My fault also, I should have remembered. Credit was not there back then. Uh, so what happened is they tried reaching out to me for 3 days and they realized that I'm not reachable and I'm probably absconding. And they reached out to my mom, my mother's number, because the number was given somewhere in the journey of getting the credit card. And they just say this, how are you related to Ananth? And she says, why are you asking me this question? No, because he's not responding to us anymore, and he has to pay 1 lakh rupees, and he's absconding, right? And that is the message to my mom. And so she's like, I'm his mother. You can tell me. Look, I think we will file a legal case against him, and we are going to send a notice if he's not making a payment by today. So she is freaked out, and you know how mothers are. She freaked out, and she called me on WhatsApp, and she's like, what have you done? What have you done with the money? And all of that. We are so panicked, and blah, blah, blah. It was a terrible situation. I immediately made a payment first, right? And as soon as I came back, the first thing that I ever did is cut all the ties with that bank, right? So I had my salary account, I had my deposits, I had this credit card that I was using for 5 years. I stopped everything, right? Because of just frustration that how could you guys do this to me? That I've been a guy who's paid on time every single month, right? Before the due date. And once I miss, and this is the situation that you all put me into, I cut the ties. But a year later, I was still stuck to that situation, right? It was post-COVID. And I reached out to a bunch of friends in the lending institution, right? I said, guys, like I went through this some time ago, and I really want to understand how collections actually work, right? So I want to learn. How can I learn? And a good friend of mine said, hey, you know what? We work with a lot of collection agencies, and you should probably go visit one among them, right? So I was very curious. So I was very happy because it's like ground research and all of that. So I walk into a collection agency, right? And as soon as I walk in, and this is like a very dingy setup in South Bangalore, and there are like 25 tables and chairs, dingy, people sitting in, and everyone's shouting for some reason, right? So I walk in, I wanted to meet the proprietor, I had his number, and he says, yeah, this is our agency, and this is collections, right? Every single agent there is abusing with all the foul words that you can probably like think about, right, in Kannada, right? And that was a customer on the other side, right? And he says, no, this is how collections are done. These customers are criminals, sir. This is how you have to treat them. That is when they'll make a payment. Horrible people, right? So I was shocked. Throughout my life, I've always been solving for customer experience. And in this industry, that experience word doesn't even exist, right? And look at what the bank lost. I was a great premium customer for the bank, and the bank just lost me for one experience, right? So they would have spent so much amount of money, time, and sales to bring the customer on board, get him adopted across multiple products. But finally, this is what happens. So we went to a couple of more agencies thinking that It might be different. It might be just one-off situation that we would have seen. But it is the same thing over and over again. There are a bunch of Excel sheets, there are names, mobile numbers, and everyone's just calling, everyone's abusing. That's the best tactic. Customer does not pay, pick up the phone, abuse, you will get your money. Right? So that is the simple funda of collections. Then I was very curious, right? So now I thought, all these agents operate this way. Let's actually go talk to these agents, right? And figure out why do they actually do this, right? So we interviewed a bunch of agents offline. We had to get them some benefits so that they could speak about all the dark history about the industry, right? And they started speaking. They said, sir, I just get a mobile number and the name and the amount that needs to be collected. What do you expect me to do, right? And I just call them. I don't even know who he is. And what we are trained on is if he doesn't listen to you, abuse him, right? And if he still doesn't do that, call his parents or call his contacts. If he still doesn't do that, tell the legal guy is standing outside the door, right? So that is the training that I have received, right? So what else can I think about apart from this, right? So I think that's when it was very clear for us that this industry is sort of broken because there are no playbooks that were created, not in the history, not today, and whatever was working back then, send the gundas to knock the door. Today, it's happening very sophisticatedly over the phone. But the language is the same, right? It's still continuing. If it was me, what I also understand is there were a million other Indians who is actually going through the same thing every single day. So then we found an opportunity and a cause that needs to be solved because it cannot scale. We are at 9% credit penetration. Tomorrow we are going to be at 30%, so which means 3 times more borrowers going through the same thing. Someone has to go change the landscape, right? So that's the problem that we started solving at DPDzero. We are building India's first AI plus human collection stack, right? A stack that makes every agent talk to borrower as a human, right? And create the right experience, right? So that is what we are trying to solve. Now that we have spoken about all the ugly truth about the industry, let's spend some time understanding how the future is going to look like, right? How are the future collection agents going to operate? So, picture yourselves as the new age collection agent, right? And there is a suit which is built for collections. Yeah, the suit, like the Iron Man gets into the suit, right? And kaboom, the magic happens. And as soon as you get into the suit, there is intelligence that is activated, right? It helps the borrower clearly see the persona of, it helps the agent clearly see the persona of the borrower, right? So who is this borrower? How does the borrower look like? What is the age? What is the past relationship with the bank? What has been the repayment history? And every single data about the borrower so that agent can talk to the borrower as a human, right? And now imagine that you're also able to see all the channels that is available to talk to this borrower, right? And that is how the agent is now more equipped to understand what is the right time, what is the best time to reach out to this borrower, right? And now you imagine that there are the new age tools available for this agent, right? Which is called as the AI digital agents, right? And once these digital agents are activated, they have access to all the communication channels. They engage with the borrower to understand, negotiate, and actually capture the intent of that borrower, right? And if the conversation pivots, it can seamlessly move across different channels. It could be from voice to WhatsApp, from WhatsApp to SMS to maybe emails, but the context is carried over, right? So the borrower does not have to be repeating, and the context of the borrower remains. And that is, once the context is carried over, right? And say, now the borrower really has to talk to a human being, right? That is when the AI co-pilot is turned on, right? The agent is now able to talk to the borrower. And while he is speaking, there is real-time sentiment analysis happening, right? So when I'm talking to borrower, it is able to show me if the borrower is angry, if the borrower is irritated, or if the borrower is just confused, right? So it gives me the sentiment of the borrower while I'm speaking to it, which currently is not available. And at the same time, it is able to prompt in real time, right? So what is the right kind of tone that I need to use to talk to this borrower, right? What is the right kind of negotiation tactic that I need to use with the borrower, so that you're able to give a great ethical experience to the borrower and try to get the collections from the borrower, right? So that is how the collection agent of the future is going to be empowered. There is going to be a lot of intelligence that's going to be transferred to this agent, and the agent has all of this handy to tackle and get the right collections from the borrower, right? And finally, this is the part that I really love, right? At the heart is the core AI models, right? These models are learning continuously across every single touch point, right? Every conversation is fed back into this model so that every new suggestion that is given is better than the last one. So that is how we sort of see the future, right? And the future right now is happening at DPDzero. So that's it for collections. Thank you so much, everyone.